My mother told me my father died when I was 3, a drunk driver on a wet highway.
That was the story.
The lie.
I carried it with me for 18 years like a stone in my chest. I visited an empty grave. I cried over a man who never existed. Then, last Tuesday, I boarded a red-eye from Dallas to Seattle. I was in seat 12A. He was in 12B. Behind me, he leaned forward. I smelled his cologne, cedar and something burned, like a match just blown out. And he said 3 words that turned my blood to ice. I've missed you. I don't remember my father. That's what I told myself. That's what I told everyone. Because you can't miss someone you never touched, right? You can't mourn a photograph. My mother, Diana, kept exactly 1 photograph. A Polaroid, faded to sepia, of a man with a square jaw and dark eyes holding a baby, me, in a red onesie. He was smiling, but the smile never reached his eyes. I used to stare at that photo for hours, trying to feel something.
Grief.
Anger. Anything. I felt nothing. Just a hollow curiosity. Diana never cried about him. Not once. When I was 7, I asked her, "Mom, what was Dad's favorite song?" She didn't even look up from the dishes. He didn't have one. When I was 12, I asked, "What did he do for work?" She said, "He traveled." That was it. No stories. No, he loved the way you laughed. No warmth. Just a wall. A wall I assumed was built from pain. I told myself she was the widow who loved too deeply to speak. I was wrong. She wasn't a widow. She was a keeper of secrets. 3 weeks before the plane, my grandmother, my father's mother, died. I hadn't seen her since I was 10. Diana kept us apart. She blames me for the crash, Mom said. It's too painful. At the funeral, a woman with silver hair and my father's eyes pressed an envelope into my palm. "He wanted you to have this when you were old enough," she whispered. "I'm sorry I waited." I opened it in the car. Inside was a single key, a safe deposit key, and a handwritten note. "The truth isn't always kind, little bird, but it's yours. Dad." Dad. Not your father.
Dad.
Present tense. My hands started shaking. I looked at the date on the note. It wasn't old. The ink wasn't faded. The note was written 6 months ago. My father, supposedly dead for 18 years, had written me a letter 6 months ago. I couldn't go home.
Not yet.
Not with that key burning a hole in my jacket. The bank was 3 blocks from the funeral home. A brick building that smelled like dust and old money. The teller didn't ask questions. She just led me to a small room with a steel door and left me alone. My hands were wet with sweat. The key turned with a click that sounded like a bone breaking. The box contained 3 things. 1, a passport. My father's. Michael Corbon. Issue date, 2022. Stamps from Dubai, Singapore, Bogota. 2, a photograph. My mother, Diana, standing next to a man who was not my father. She was laughing, her arm around his waist. They were standing in front of a house I didn't recognize. On the back, in my mother's handwriting, Jack and me. The beginning. 3, a USB drive. I didn't have a laptop. I used the bank's computer in the lobby. My heart was punching my ribs. The USB contained 1 file. An audio recording. I put in my earbuds. The recording started with static. Then a man's voice, low, weary, splintered. "If you're hearing this, Elena, I'm probably dead. Not in a crash. Not on a wet highway. But because I know something your mother and Jack don't want known. Your mother lied to you. I didn't die. I ran. And I've been running ever since. But I'm tired, little bird. I'm so tired. I left you clues. I left you this key. Because you deserve to know why your mother told the world I was a ghost. Jack Costello. He's not just her business partner. He's the man she chose over me. Over us. And he's the reason I can't come home. Don't trust anything she says. Don't trust anyone. And Elena." The recording cut off. A sharp yank, like the microphone was ripped away. Then a sound I will never forget. A thud. A scuffle. A man's voice, not my father's, saying, "We had a deal, Mike." Then the recording ended. I sat in that bank lobby for 10 minutes, staring at the screen, waiting for my lungs to remember how to work. My mother had told me my father died. She lied. Jack, the uncle who came to every birthday party, the one who paid for my braces, My piano lessons, my first car? The one who called me kiddo and ruffled my hair? He wasn't an uncle. He was the other man. And my father was alive. Or he was dead. Or he was something in between. But one thing was certain. The woman who raised me was a stranger. I drove home in a fog. 2 hours on back roads, replaying the audio again and again. Every time, that final thud sounded more like a door slamming. Or a bullet. The house was dark. Diana was in the kitchen, reading a paperback, a glass of red wine sweating on the coaster. "How was the funeral?" she asked, not looking up. I stood in the doorway. The key was still in my pocket. The passport. The photograph. "Who is Jack Costello?" She didn't flinch. That was the terrifying part. Her eyes lifted slowly, like a reptile waking up.
Calm.
Too calm. "Your Uncle Jack? You've known him your whole life, sweetheart." "Jack Costello," I repeated. "Not uncle. Not a friend. Who is he to you?" She set the book down, took a sip of wine. "Why are you asking?" "My father didn't die in a car crash." The silence that followed was not the silence of shock. It was the silence of calculation. I could see her deciding, weighing, the way a chess player weighs a sacrifice. Finally, she said, "Who told you that?" "Answer the question." "Elena." "Sit down."
No.
"Sit."
Down.
I didn't. She stood. She was shorter than me. I got my height from my father, but the way she moved, slow and deliberate, made me feel 6 years old again. "Your father was not a good man," she said. "Whatever you think you know, you don't. He was dangerous. He was sick. I protected you from him. By telling me he was dead? Yes. One word. No hesitation. No regret." I pulled out the passport. The photograph. I threw them on the kitchen table. Her composure cracked for less than a second. A flicker. Something dark and fast, like a cockroach under a light. "Where did you get these?" "Grandma Rose." Her jaw tightened. "That woman has always been a snake. She gave me a key. She gave me the truth. You gave me a gravestone." Diana reached for the photograph. Her fingers trembled, the first real emotion I'd seen. "Jack was... I needed someone. Your father left. He abandoned us. Jack was there. He didn't leave. You said he died. Same difference." I didn't know her at all. "Where is he?" I asked. "Where's my father?" She looked me dead in the eyes. "I don't know. And if you're smart, you won't try to find him." "Why?" "Because the last person who tried is lying at the bottom of a river." "What did you just say?" She picked up her wine glass, drained it. "Go to bed, Elena. We'll talk in the morning." I didn't sleep. I packed instead. A duffel bag. My laptop. The USB. The passport. The photograph of my mother with Jack. I left before dawn. Diana's door was closed. I didn't knock. The note I left on the counter was 3 words. "I'm going home." I didn't know where that was. I just knew it wasn't here. I booked the first flight I could find. Dallas to Seattle. I'd never been to Seattle. But on the back of my father's note, the one that said the truth isn't always kind, there was a faint embossed stamp. A hotel in Seattle. The Edgewater. "Little bird," he called me. "Little bird flying home." I didn't know he'd be on that plane. The airport was fluorescent and hollow. I moved like a sleepwalker. Checked my bag. Stared at a Cinnabon for 5 minutes, without ordering. Walked to gate C-17. The plane was full. A red eye. Business travelers with dead eyes. A woman with a screaming toddler. A man in a hat who smelled like whiskey. I was 18F. A window seat. I'd booked it hoping to sleep. I'd been awake for 30 hours. The boarding process was numb. I stowed my backpack, buckled my seatbelt, pressed my forehead against the cold plastic window. This is insane, I thought. You're chasing a ghost. You're chasing a man who abandoned you, who left a recording that sounds like a death threat, who wrote you a letter and then vanished. But then I remembered my mother's face, that flicker, that cold calculation. I'd rather chase a ghost than live with a liar. The man in 18E, the middle seat, was late boarding. The flight attendant was closing the overhead bins. The cabin lights dimmed. Then I felt it. A shift in the air. A pressure change that had nothing to do with altitude. Someone sat down behind me. 19C, the seat directly behind. I didn't turn around.
I didn't know why.
Instinct. The same instinct that tells a rabbit to freeze when a hawk passes overhead. The engine hummed. The plane began to taxi. Then I heard him. A voice.
Low.
Quiet. Meant only for me. You look just like your mother. My blood stopped. My hands curled into fists on the armrest. But you've got my stubbornness, the voice continued. You always did. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The wheels left the ground and my stomach dropped, and I sat there, frozen, as the man behind me leaned closer. His breath was warm on my ear. Hello, little bird. I didn't turn around. For 15 minutes, I didn't turn around. I stared at the seatback screen, the flight map, a tiny animation of a plane crawling across the country. I watched it like it contained the secrets of the universe, because if I looked away, if I acknowledged the man behind me, the world would shatter. My father is dead, I told myself. My mother said so. But my mother lies. The man didn't speak again. Not for those 15 minutes.
He just sat there.
I could hear him breathing.
Steady.
Patient. Like a fisherman waiting for a bite. The flight attendant came by with drinks. I asked for water. My voice cracked on the word, please. When she handed me the plastic cup, my hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. Then the man behind me said, club soda. No lime. The flight attendant nodded, handed it to him, and I saw his hand. Long fingers. A silver ring on the middle finger. An onyx stone. And a scar. A thin white line, running from his knuckle to his wrist. I'd seen that scar before. In the photograph. The Polaroid. The man holding baby me in the red onesie. His left hand was visible, wrapped around my back. The scar was there. A thin white line. I remembered because I used to trace it with my finger. When I was little. Before my mother took the photo away and locked it in her nightstand. Did it hurt? I used to ask the photograph. No answer. Just a ghost. Now the ghost was behind me. You can turn around, Elena, he said quietly. I don't bite. Not anymore. I turned. He was not what I expected. The man in the Polaroid was young. 30 maybe. Dark hair. Sharp cheekbones. A smile like a movie star. The man in 19C was older. 50-something. His hair was gray at the temples, threaded with white. His face was lined, not with age, but with something heavier. Fear, maybe. Or regret. His eyes were the same.
Dark.
Intense.
My eyes.
He was wearing a black jacket. No luggage. Just a leather satchel on his lap. And he was smiling. Not a happy smile. A sad one. I've been waiting for this moment for 18 years, and now I don't know what to say. Smile. Hi, little bird, he said. I opened my mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. You're supposed to be dead. I know. Mom said you died in a car crash. I know what she said. Then where the hell have you been? My voice came out louder than I intended. The woman across the aisle glanced over. The man, my father, held up a hand, a gentle gesture. Keep your voice down, he said.
Please.
I'll tell you everything, but not here. Not on a plane with 80 witnesses. Why not? Because some of them might be listening for me.
Beat.
What does that mean? He leaned forward. The plane hit a patch of turbulence. The lights flickered. It means, he said, that your mother didn't just lie about me being dead. She lied about why. I should have been angry. I should have screamed.
Cried.
Summoned the flight attendant and accused him of harassment. I had every right. This man, this stranger with my eyes, had missed every birthday, every school play, every nightmare where I woke up crying for a dad I never had. But I wasn't angry. I was hungry. Hungry for the truth my mother had starved me of for 18 years.
Talk, I said.
Fast. He glanced around. The passengers around us were asleep or buried in headphones. The cabin was dim, the only light a cold blue from the seatback screens. He lowered his voice. Asterisk. I met your mother in 2003. I was 25. She was 23. I was fresh out of the military, intelligence, nothing glamorous. And she was like lightning. Beautiful.
Brilliant.
And completely incapable of being satisfied. Asterisk. He paused. Rubbed the scar on his hand. We had you. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. But your mother, she wanted more. More money. More status. More power. And she found Jack Costello. You said he was her business partner.
He was.
That was the cover. The reality is worse. Jack runs a network. High-end. Off the books. Moving money. People. Secrets. Your mother wasn't just sleeping with him. She was working with him. And when I found out, I had a choice. What choice? Get on board or get eliminated. I felt the plane drop slightly. My stomach followed. You're saying Mom wanted to kill you?
No.
Jack did. Your mother just didn't stop him. He reached into his satchel, pulled out a folded piece of paper, handed it to me. I unfolded it. It was a bank statement, a joint account, my mother's name, Jack's name, and a transaction dated 3 months before my 3rd birthday for $50,000. The memo line said, relocation services. Relocation, my father said bitterly. That's what they call it when someone needs to disappear. Permanently. I stared at the paper. $50,000 to make my father vanish. You're lying, I whispered. But my voice had no conviction. I wish I was. Then how are you alive? He tucked the paper back into his satchel. Because I had friends. People who owed me favors. They warned me. I left in the middle of the night. I didn't even say goodbye to you. I couldn't. If I'd touched you, I never would have left. And I'd be dead. He looked at me. His eyes were wet. I've watched you, Elena. From a distance. Every birthday, I was in a car across the street. Every school play, I was in the back row in a hat and sunglasses. Your first piano recital? I was there. You played Mozart. You messed up the middle section but kept going. I cried in my truck for an hour afterward. My throat closed. You watched me, but you never came. Because your mother put a tracker on your phone when you were 12. She monitors your credit cards, your social media. She didn't want me to find you. She wanted to make sure I never could. That's insane. That's Diana. The plane hit another patch of turbulence. Harder this time. The seatbelt sign flickered on. I had a million questions, but only one mattered. Why now? Why are you on this plane? He hesitated. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Because, he said, your mother found out about the safe deposit box. She found out you went to the bank, and she called Jack. So Jack doesn't leave loose ends, Elena. He never has.
And you, he swallowed.
You're the biggest loose end there is.
Beat.
You're saying my mother sent someone to kill me? I'm saying your mother sent Jack. And Jack sent someone else. And that someone else is on this plane. I laughed.
I don't know why.
Maybe because it was too absurd. Too cinematic. Too much. My mother, the woman who packed my lunches and folded my sweaters and kissed my forehead every night, had hired someone to kill me? That wasn't real. That couldn't be real.
You're paranoid, I said.
You've been running so long you see enemies everywhere. My father didn't flinch. Look under your seat. The seat back pocket. I reached down. My fingers found a folded piece of paper. I pulled it out. It was a boarding pass. Not mine. A different name. David Chen. But the seat number was 19D. The seat directly across the aisle from my father. David Chen doesn't exist, my father said quietly. I checked. The ticket was purchased 3 hours before takeoff.
Cash.
No frequent flyer account. No digital footprint. I looked across the aisle. 19D was empty. Where is he? I asked. I don't know, but he boarded. I saw him.
Tall. Baseball cap.
Sunglasses. He sat down, then got up to use the bathroom 10 minutes ago. He hasn't come back. The hairs on my arm stood up. Maybe he's just in the bathroom, I said. Maybe. But we both knew. Something was wrong. The flight attendant walked past. I caught her arm. Excuse me? Can you check if 19D is okay? He's been gone a while. She smiled the automatic smile. I'll check, hon. She walked toward the rear galley.
She didn't come back.
1 minute.
2, 5.
Then the intercom crackled. Folks, this is your captain. We're experiencing some technical difficulties with the rear lavatory. Please remain seated. We'll update you shortly. My father grabbed my wrist. His grip was iron. We need to move.
Now.
Move where? Anywhere but here. He stood up, pulled me out of my seat. The man in 18E, who'd been asleep, jerked awake and cursed at us. My father ignored him. Stay low, he whispered. Keep your head down. We moved toward the front of the plane. It was slow.
Cramped.
Every passenger was an obstacle. Every overhead bin a potential hiding place. I didn't know what we were running from, but my father's fear was contagious. It crawled into my chest and made a nest. We made it to row 12 when I saw him.
Tall.
Baseball cap. Sunglasses. Standing in the galley. He wasn't looking at us. He was looking at the floor. At the flight attendant. She was on her knees, hands behind her head, face white as bone. The man in the baseball cap had something in his hand.
Small. Black.
A taser. Don't scream. My father hissed in my ear. Don't move. The man in the baseball cap looked up. He saw us.
Beat.
He smiled. Mr. Corbin, he said. I was wondering when you'd come out of hiding. My father stepped in front of me, blocking me. Let the girl go. This is between you and me. The girl, the man said, is the only reason I'm here. Diana sends her regards. My mother's name, said like a prayer. Or a curse. She wants it quick, the man continued. No mess. The plane lands, you disappear. She claims the body. Tragic accident. Reunited with her long-dead husband. He laughed. It was a dry sound. No humor. But I don't do quick. Not for 50,000. 50,000. The same amount on the bank statement. The same price on my father's head 18 years ago. Now it was my turn. Please, I whispered. I didn't do anything.
I don't know anything.
The man tilted his head. That's not true, little bird. You know too much. And Jack doesn't like loose ends. He took a step forward. My father moved.
Fast.
Faster than a man his age should be able to move. He grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and swung it like a baseball bat. It connected with the man's shoulder. There was a wet crunch. The man staggered, dropped the taser. Run, my father shouted. I ran. I ran past the flight attendant, past the first-class curtain, toward the cockpit. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to get away. Behind me, I heard a scuffle, a grunt, a crash. Then silence. I turned. My father was on the ground. The man in the baseball cap was standing over him. The taser was in his hand again. You always were stubborn, Mike. He pressed the taser to my father's neck. The sound was like a fly zapper. A violent crack. My father's body convulsed, then went limp. No. The man looked at me, tilted his head again. You're faster than I expected. But not fast enough. He stepped over my father's body, walked toward me. I backed up, hit the cockpit door.
Locked.
Help! I screamed. Someone help. First-class passengers stared, frozen. No one moved. The man was 6 feet away.
5, 4.
Then the cockpit door opened behind me. A flight attendant, a different one, older, with a crew cut and dead eyes, grabbed my arm. Come with me, she said. He's trying to kill me. I know, she said. I'm here to stop him. She pulled me into the cockpit, slammed the door, locked it. The captain was there.
Pale. Sweating.
Sit down, the flight attendant said. Buckle up. What's happening? I asked. The flight attendant looked at the captain. The captain looked at the floor. We're landing, the flight attendant said. Not in Seattle. Somewhere else. Where? She didn't answer. Outside the cockpit door, I heard the man in the baseball cap laughing. You can't hide her forever, Diane, he shouted.
Diane.
The flight attendant's name was Diane. My mother's name.
Beat.
I looked at the flight attendant. Really looked. Same jawline. Same cold eyes. Same way of standing. Weight on the back foot, ready to pivot. Who are you? I whispered. She smiled. I'm your mother's sister, Elena. The one Diana told you died in a fire when you were 2. That's not possible. Your mother has been lying to you your entire life. About your father.
About me.
About everything. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a badge. FBI. I'm not here to protect you from Jack, she said. I'm here to protect you from your mother. The plane landed in Montana. Not an airport. A runway in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by pine trees and darkness. We didn't deplane through the jet bridge. There was no jet bridge. We walked down the mobile stairs onto the tarmac, and a black SUV was waiting. No markings. The man in the baseball cap? He didn't get off the plane. Neither did my father. Where is he? I asked Diane. Where's my father? She didn't answer. Just open the SUV door. Get in. Not until you tell me what's happening. She sighed. The first crack in her composure. Your father is not your father, Elena. Long silence. What? Michael Corbin is not your biological father. Your mother was pregnant with you when she met him. He agreed to raise you as his own. But when he found out the truth, who your real father was, he tried to use you as leverage. That's a lie. It's not. Your real father is Jack Costello. The world tilted.
Jack.
The uncle. The man who paid for my braces, who ruffled my hair, who looked at me with something I'd always mistaken for kindness. No, I said. No, that's not. You have his eyes, his bone structure. I'm surprised no one noticed sooner. I thought about the photograph, the one from the safe deposit box. My mother with her arm around Jack's waist. The beginning, she'd written. The beginning of what? Of you, Diane said, as if reading my mind. You're the beginning of their partnership. And their prison sentence. She reached into the SUV,
Pulled out a tablet.
pressed play. A video. My mother, younger, sitting in a room with gray walls. An interrogation room. I didn't know he was trafficking, my mother said on the screen. Jack told me it was logistics. High-end logistics. A voice off camera. You signed incorporation papers. You opened offshore accounts. You helped him move underage girls across state lines. My mother's face crumbled. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know. And the father of your daughter? Michael Corbon. He found out. He threatened to go to the police. So Jack handled it. Handled it how? My mother looked directly into the camera. Her eyes were dead. Jack put a price on his head. $50,000. I didn't stop him. The video ended. Diane took the tablet back. That recording was made 6 years ago. Your mother made a deal. Immunity in exchange for testimony against Jack. But she flipped at the last minute. The case fell apart. Jack walked. And my father? Michael? He's been in witness protection for 15 years. He's not your father. But he's the closest thing you have to an ally. Where is he now? Diane looked at the plane. 2 paramedics were walking up the mobile stairs. A stretcher.
He's alive, she said. Barely.
The taser stopped his heart. They resuscitated him. I started crying. I didn't mean to. The tears just came. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because your mother is a master manipulator. She convinced the FBI she needed to keep you close. That Jack would come after you if he knew you existed. But that was a lie. Jack always knew. He's been watching you your whole life. Waiting. Waiting for what? For you to turn 18. For you to become useful. I wiped my face. Useful how? Diane's expression softened. For the first time, she looked like an aunt. Because you're the only person Jack Costello has ever loved. And that, she said, makes you the only bait he'd ever take. The sun was rising over Montana. Pink and gold. Beautiful. Obscene. Diane gave me a file.
Thick.
Full of photographs, bank statements, witness testimonies. The file on Jack Costello. Your mother's going to call you, Diane said. She's going to tell you that Michael is a liar. That I'm a rogue agent. That everyone is lying except her. Is she lying? Always. Then why haven't you arrested her? Because Jack has dirt on everyone. Judges. Politicians.
Cops.
The moment we move on your mother, Jack burns the whole system to the ground. We need him first. And to get him, we need you. You want me to be bait. I want you to have a choice. Something your mother never gave you. Diane handed me a phone. A burner. When Jack contacts you, and you call me, you play along. You let him think he's winning. And if I say no, then you disappear. New identity. New city. You spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. But you'll be alive. I looked at the sunrise. At the plane on the tarmac. At the paramedics loading a stretcher into an ambulance. My father, Michael, the man who raised me, the man who ran to save me, was inside that ambulance. He wasn't my blood, but he bled for me. What about him? I asked. He goes back into the hole. Deeper this time. He'll never see you again.
Beat.
I thought about the letter. The truth isn't always kind, little bird. He was right. The truth was a nightmare. But it was mine. I'll do it, I said. I'll be the bait. Diane nodded. No surprise. She'd known all along. One more thing, she said. The man on the plane, the one with the taser. He wasn't working for Jack. Then who? Your mother. She didn't want you to find Michael. She wanted you dead before you could talk to him. My mother. The woman who kissed my forehead. The woman who tucked me in at night.
She wanted me dead.
Why? Diane opened the car door. Because you're not just the bait for Jack, she said. You're the evidence. Your DNA. Your birth certificate. Your existence proves that Jack and Diana have been working together since before you were born. If you go public, they go to prison for the rest of their lives. I looked at my hands. My father's hands? Jack's hands? I didn't know anymore. So what do? Diane smiled.
Cold.
Familiar. You go home, Elena. You hug your mother. You tell her you love her. And you wear a wire. I flew back to Dallas the next day. Commercial.
Coach.
An empty seat beside me. My phone rang as the plane landed.
Mom.
I answered. Hey, baby, she said. Her voice was warm.
Sweet.
The voice of every mother in every commercial. How is Seattle? I looked out the window. The Dallas skyline, flat and brown. I didn't go, I said. Oh, where'd you go? Nowhere. I just needed to think.
Pause.
Think about what, sweetheart? I closed my eyes, felt the wire against my ribs. Diane's voice in my ear. She's going to ask about Michael. Don't lie. Just deflect. About Dad, I said. Another pause. Longer. Elena. It's okay, Mom. I'm not angry. I just want to understand. Silence. Then, come home. We'll talk. Just the two of us. Okay. And Elena? I love you. You know that, right? I looked at my reflection in the window. A girl with Jack Costello's eyes and Diana's mouth and no idea who she was.
I know, I said.
I hung up. The plane door opened. The aisle filled with passengers grabbing their bags, laughing, complaining, living their small, safe lives. I waited until everyone else got off. Then I stood up, and under my breath, so quiet that only the wire could hear, I said, I'm ready. Fade to black. Text on screen. 2 weeks later, Jack Costello was arrested at a hotel in Miami. Diana Corbon was arrested the same day. Both are awaiting trial on charges of human trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. Elena testified against them both. Michael Corbon is still in witness protection. He sends her a postcard every month. No return address. The last one said, I'm proud of you, little bird. Now fly. Final image, the Polaroid. The man with the scar. The baby in the red onesie. The smile that never reached his eyes. Black screen. Single line of white text. Sometimes the dead come back. The real horror is when the living never left.